Dr. Amanda, how does it feel to be a doctor? Is that still a shocker to you?
Well, it's not a shock how many years I was in school for, but I do keep it pretty casual in the clinic. Once people get to know me, I'll just go by Amanda or Dr. Amanda. But yeah, we keep it pretty casual in the clinic.
Because that's an extra. So we did 4 years of just undergraduate for kinesiology, and then you went on to how many years of chiropractic school?
So then 4 years of chiropractic. And yeah, I've been in practice almost 6 years.
That is amazing. And you've gotten to work with a whole bunch of like really cool people. I read somewhere that you got to work with, I think a top 10 tennis, women's tennis finalist. I'm not sure what the terminology is, so help me out here.
Yeah, so I was actually with her on tour, treating her when she broke top 10 in the world. So that was a pretty cool experience. I got to go to some really cool places and work with her. And we're still friends, actually. So it was a great experience.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so like when you were touring, like what kind of countries were you able to go to?
So like Wimbledon, which was pretty awesome. So I spent a month in England, working with her and, kind of all over, more or less, but, it was a pretty cool opportunity. It was a lot of back and forth. So I'm happy to be back in Ancaster full time, but, it was fun while it lasted. That's for sure.
That's pretty good for the resume.
Yes, it definitely doesn't help, or it definitely helps rather.
And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other professional athletes that you've been able to treat over the last 6 years as well.
Yeah, so I've seen a few NHL players. Again, like it's kind of hard to leave my practice during the year, but if they're from around here, when they come home for the summer, I can see them and work with them in the summer while they're training. So yeah, it's a pretty diverse population, which is great.
And how did you even want to start getting into this? Like, did you always know that you wanted to be a chiropractor, or did it kind of form as you went through school or sports or something?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of always knew I wanted to do something pertaining to the body for sure. I remember like back when I was in like early high school, my cousin actually was in kinesiology, and I don't know if I ever even told her this, but I would always see she'd have her anatomy books out, and I'd be so young, maybe even elementary school. And I would just be like, flipping through her anatomy books, and I knew the entire time I wanted to go into kinesiology. So I think you get like 3 options of universities, and I just knew like I wanted McKin for sure, which was awesome that I went there because I got to meet you, obviously. So yeah, we had a lot of fun together. And then, I was an athlete for so many years. So I figured if I couldn't play a sport, why not help treat and still be part of a team that way? Mm-hmm. I wasn't like 100% with chiropractic. That was kind of in my last year in kinesiology. I decided I wanted to go into chiro, but honestly, I've never looked back. It's been pretty amazing.
I know it's, when I was deciding to go to university, and I felt like I had to go to university because that was, you're supposed to go to university and then you'd get a better job and all these things. But I couldn't imagine myself going for anything else. Like my best friend went for science and biology, and I had an interest in science, but not enough to make it my major. And I always liked playing sports, so that was the only real option other than right into being a gym teacher, which I actually ended up being anyways. But it's funny, like I just felt like there were so many more options with kinesiology. And Mac can, I still sing those songs. What is it? All of our McMaster songs. You know them.
What's that one you sing?
1, we are from Mac. 2, a little bit louder. 3, I still can't hear you. 4.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't even know how I could possibly forget those. Those are football games and everything.
I know. Talon hates them. He hates when I break out in them randomly.
I don't hate them. I think they're funny.
He didn't get to experience the same culture, I think.
Right.
And Mac is a great school. I'm just going to do a little plug for McMaster for anybody who's wondering.
Plug it.
McMaster is the way to go. It's a big enough school that you get a variety of teachers and everything, but also small enough where you can create a community and meet awesome people. So it works out really well because you get to form relationships with people. And in kinesiology, if anybody's thinking, I think the program went from like how many, like 2,000 or 1,000 students to like 500 in the second year. Am I making those numbers up? I feel like it just drastically got cut.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely like a highly sought after program. I mean, the average is into the 90s now, so it's pretty amazing.
So we're kind of smart, I think.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Yeah.
I don't think my average was a 90, but that's only because I had a really bad mark in math, which biomechanics, do you remember that class? I actually really hated that class. That was my worst class. I don't know who the teacher was. This is off topic.
I remember the teacher. And I also really remember that class because we weren't even allowed to use computers, I don't think, in that class. He wanted us to put away everything and pay attention. So that was, I'd like to see a prof try and do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just insane.
Almost everything.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. So when you were in your last year, like, you know what course stood out to me the most was sports injuries, and I think that's why we also, I think it was third year that we had the opportunity to work with the women's soccer team. Was that third year or fourth year?
I think it was third year. Yeah, it was third year.
That was a really cool program, and I got injured a lot. Like I had an ACL tear and like a messed up knee like the next year. So that's how I started wanting to get into like this rehab stuff and getting more interested with the body. And you as an athlete, I'm sure, felt like the same way, where you might not want to play professionally or play at a high level for the rest of your life, but you want to be in that team atmosphere. So I don't know, how did that go again? How did we apply for sports therapists positions?
Well, I know for me, I was a basketball player, and so I actually tried out for the MAC basketball team, and I didn't make it. I'm still getting over it today.
They lost out.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but they had a really great team that year. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, I started, like, just a natural transition was I still wanted to be involved with sports. So it was just a volunteer program. So I actually did it in my second year as well. And I was with the basketball team, which was hard to watch them, but it worked out. I learned a lot. It was great. And then 2 years with soccer. So we did 1 year together with soccer, which was fun. Like I don't know how much I appreciated it at the time, because in my opinion, I might as well just have played a varsity sport. I mean, I couldn't, but we were there before the players. We were there after the players. The players are even still friends of mine to this day, actually, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like that was our life basically for about, I'd say 3 months, right? I don't even know how we did our work.
I think it was longer. I think it was like, I almost wanted to say it was like 4 to 6 months, because we started at the end of August. Yeah, and then it ran that semester. And, you know, like, I mean, it's really fun because I tell Talon all the time that when I see like them on, we were watching, what's that basketball movie we were just watching?
The Last Dance.
The Last Dance documentary with Jordan. And they were in the change room or the pregame room, and they had to do like some ankle tape jobs. And I just remember, like, we had to do that as a test. Like, that's how they placed us with teams. Like, you needed to do it under 2 minutes, and you need to do a good job or else you're out.
Yeah, like how perfect was it and everything. So that I saw that tape job, that was a perfect tape job way back. Like, that was awesome on The Last Dance. Yeah, I was watching it the other night. I was critiquing the tape job, of course.
Yeah, with all the stirrups, the anchors.
Solid.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, getting back to you. So you probably, because you've been in this industry before, or for 6 years, you've probably had to deal with like a lot of cool patients and potentially awkward situations. Are there any that come to mind that stand out that are really funny that you can, obviously don't name names because they shall remain nameless.
Name them.
Honestly, I thought going into it that, like coming right out of practice, I was pretty young as a chiropractor, I thought that I would have more like situations like that. I thought, maybe people wouldn't trust me because I was so young and, they would want to see someone else that was more experienced. But because I just took the extra time with them, and I came about it in more of like a modern, fresher way, I can't really think of any like awkward situations. And the other thing is like, I don't want to say I'm like a bro per se, but I have a way of like, like if somebody's gonna like give it to me, I'll kind of give it back. So, I mean, I'm not easily offended or anything like that. Like if a patient, said something or made a comment, I would probably just like brush it off and start telling a story or something like that. So I don't know, nothing really like sticks out too much, thankfully. There's still time though. I'll be in practice a lot longer.
Yeah, but I think that speaks to your professionalism so much so because we are young. Like I still think that we're super young. So I always would, like, even as a teacher, like I still get those comments where are you even like, I've had another teacher call me out saying you're not in uniform. And I'm like, I'm teaching type of thing.
Yeah.
So but I think that speaks to your professionalism a lot. So
I'm super young. You're getting up there.
Hey, you look older than I do. So.
Way to go, Joanna.
I know. It's all the coffee I drink. So tell me about what kind of sports like are your top sports that you like treating or you do treat? You get a lot of athletes from.
I do, yeah. So I would say hockey is definitely number one. Actually probably tied with dance. I have a ton of dancers, very competitive dancers. It is amazing what they put their bodies through. Like it is just fantastic. I have the utmost respect, for my competitive dancers that I adore.
Aren't they like
dance and hockey.
Are they not like dancing through like injuries, like pretty serious injuries?
Oh yeah, they're tough. These guys and girls are tough. Like they don't experience pain and they don't stop either when they go through pain. So wow. It's I definitely have to manage expectations and pull them back a little bit. A lot of the time, it's the instructors like are very, very demanding. Like, you think of a coach yelling from the sideline, but these coaches, these dance teachers, like behind the scenes, they are tough on these girls. So yeah, like they don't back down. That's for sure.
Because I've seen some like gymnast documentaries and I can only imagine. And obviously the dance mom stuff that comes up that you see, and I've known some personal friends that have been in dance and it's just like they would be like doing all these jumps on torn muscles. Like, I don't know how you can even land that with a smile.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's insane.
Well, even cheerleaders. I know a lot of people have seen that cheer documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I do have some cheerleaders as well. There's a lot of injuries that happen with cheer. And so, I mean, I even remember when that documentary came out, I was watching it with my husband and he was like jaw dropped. And he's like, are you seeing this? And I said, yeah, like I have patients that do all these flips and things like that. And like they fall on their head and I have to manage them through their concussions and wow. I'm not surprised. Like I see the videos, but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, one of our friends, actually, I don't know if she went to see you, but one of the ones that was working at the high performance training facility, she was doing a cheer routine and she got dropped and like now her knee's like all like messed up and stuff. And I
did see her and I adore her. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really too bad what happened. Mm-hmm.
I know. So I'm hoping like she gets like really good care and she should come see you in Ancaster
yeah.
before and after surgery type thing. So like let's move on to how like you're so young. So first of all, like you have your own practice, which is just amazing. Most people still are probably in their like late 40s and they're still wanting to have their own practice. So that's a really massive accomplishment. So kudos to you because that's amazing. Like that must have been a lifelong dream, or like when did that dream start?
Yeah, so I mean, I worked at a few different clinics and I loved every one of them for a different reason. And I honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to open my own clinic. Like, I knew I wanted to have a family and that was a priority. And I wasn't sure. But in the last couple of years, my husband and I moved back to our hometown of Ancaster. And then I had a little bit of a home practice in Ancaster that just started really growing and expanding. And I just couldn't keep up with the referrals and volume of patients. And so on February 5th, I opened my own practice. I wasn't really looking for looking for spaces or anything like that. I was just driving by. My husband happens to be in real estate, so he just showed me this place. It was bare bones. I walked in and I had that vision and I had that feeling. It was actually kind of the same feeling I got when I got accepted to Chiro, just like that, it's right type warm feeling. So when I walked in here, I signed the lease, and I was in practice for 5 amazing weeks before the pandemic happened. It was amazing. I'm so glad I took the leap. Everything happens for a reason. I had to go through everything that I kind of went through with all the places that I was at. Along the way, I met amazing patients in Toronto, Mississauga, Oakville, all around. And so still keep in touch. And some people even make the drive here, which is the most rewarding thing I can possibly think of.
Yeah. And so for those people that don't know where Ancaster is, it is just outside of Hamilton, or is it in Hamilton? Is it technically in Hamilton?
It's Hamilton. It's in Hamilton, yeah.
Do you guys want
It's a little suburb.
You guys want a live question?
Yeah.
Is there a way to improve, this is Sophia Lyon, she's asking, is there a way to improve reverse kyphosis? I don't know if I'm saying that right. kyphosis.
Yeah. So
as you age, she asks.
Yes, that is such a good question. It is it's pretty much the bread and butter of what I treat. So what kyphosis means basically, so there's 2 different curvatures of your spine. So there's kyphosis, which is like this, like a curve like this. And then there's something called lordosis, which is the opposite, and it's this curve. So in our necks, we naturally have more lordosis, so this way. And in our upper backs, we naturally have more kyphosis this way. And then in our lower backs, again, lordosis. So, a lot of what we do is in the forward position. So desk jobs, driving, cooking, when we're in this is a kyphotic position right here. That's what she's referring to.
Yeah.
And obviously we all want to reverse that, right? So it's called your thoracic spine's your mid back. So on my website, I have a whole section dedicated to increasing your thoracic extension, which is how to get you back into this position. So I could go on this topic forever, but the short and sweet of it is you have to work on it daily, every day, multiple times a day. You can use a foam roller to extend through your mid back. There's a ton of stretches. Definitely visit my website. I have a database of exercises on there that you can do with me. And then I'm pretty easily accessible, through email or DM. And I'd be happy to help you out.
So it's funny, as you're saying that, I just see Talon and he's I don't know if you guys can see me, but he's sitting like this. And then all of a sudden it's just like a string that gets pulled from the top of your head.
I know. I'm always concerned about the posture. I'm always concerned.
And so
I'm trying to be more conscious. I'm trying to be more conscious of it lately.
It's important. Yeah, for sure.
So that's really cool. So we're going to post your website after, in case we didn't already. But for those of you that are viewing right now that want to look at it, what is the website?
So it's www.performancecarecenter.com. And so I have a section called Rehab Videos. If you click on that, I have almost every area of the body. So they're all categorized into different areas. And there's bunch of videos on there with explanations.
Performancecarecenter.com.
Yeah.
When did
that's
you
RE.
When did you get the domain? That's a pretty good one to score.
Yeah, thanks. Probably December, like not until I knew I was opening this place. Yeah. It's pretty lucky, I guess, to get that.
That is, yeah. That's crazy that was available. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Talon's a techie guy, so we're all about like not me so much, but Talon's like buying up all these domains and stuff like that. We're looking into them all the time.
They're addicting. I can't go on those domain sites anymore. I just keep buying them.
We've been
Do you feel rich, Talon?
No.
We've been looking
I feel poor because I buy too many and now I got to pay for the manual.
Yeah, and we get so many ideas. So like we obviously have our beach fence, but then we also went into some other ideas that are gonna blossom later. But we bought all those domains because we're like, oh my gosh, we need this and we need that, and then it ends up being like a whole bunch of money because some of them are 2 words and those are like in the thousands sometimes.
I gotta cancel some of them
or sell them.
Well, thanks for leaving me some domains.
No problem.
Getting back to the Lordosis and stuff, like I remember, I don't know, this was in university, I think, when I was training to warm up my back, I used a foam roller, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I started at my lower back and then I'd just reach back and try and touch the mat as far as possible with my thumbs this way. And then you come back up a little slower and then raise the foam roller to like 1 vertebrae-ish higher.
Yeah,
and then do the same
that's exactly right. Yeah, 100%. I definitely have literally that exact video. So you were doing it back then.
And then I should have kept going. I don't know why I stopped. It's all these like little things that we don't really realize. And I don't know, what's that terminology? Do you do these exercises all the time? Like, are you one of those people every day you do like rehab type exercises?
Yeah, I have to, honestly. I didn't have much discomfort playing sports all those years, but I swear the second we started taping ankles, like bent over in that horrible position for hours taping ankles, like I started developing low back pain in university and I've struggled since. And yeah, I have to do my stretches. Honest to God, I do them. Yeah.
So do you
do more now than ever?
So do you like wake up in the morning and have like a routine? Like, do you do your stretches in the morning or do you do them like at night? What's like so since Dr. Amanda is the chiropractor, what does Dr. Amanda do?
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, I'm going to be honest. Like if I am going to work in the morning, I don't stretch in the morning. That's for sure. So I will always stretch. I generally try and sweat every day if I can. Little something anyways. So I'll do like a little dynamic warm up, open up my hips a little bit, and then do whatever workout I'm doing that day, and then do a little stretch after. It doesn't have to be long. Like it could be, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever the case may be. I'm more notorious for if I have a couple minutes here and there, I'll grab a lacrosse ball, maybe if it's between patients. So I wouldn't say I have like a routine per se. It's whenever I get a minute, that's exactly what I'm doing. Is I'm going to try and like counteract the positions that I'm in all day, basically.
And that's smart. I don't think people pay enough attention because they like, even myself, like I'm still sitting like this most of the day, whether I'm on the computer for school or whether we're doing other things, like I'm on here like this. And like, yeah, we'll do our workouts and stuff, but I'm not necessarily focusing on opening up my back all the time or doing a lot of those rehab ones. Talon always tells me I need to stretch more because you go to yoga and you do yoga and stuff like that. I always find for me when I did yoga, I always thought about how I could be burning more calories in a HIIT class. Like that was like what was going through my head.
Well, it's funny as we are in our 30s now, that we just want to like feel, not that that's old, but like we just want to feel good. Like our priorities change, right? So when we're young, like, yeah, we definitely just want to get a sweat and it's all about the HIIT training. But now more than ever, like I've definitely shifted my workouts to things that just make me feel good. So I've been doing a lot of bar lately actually, and it's been like really great on my low back. I've referred a lot of my patients to those type of workouts. So yeah, definitely I've shifted for sure.
Sophia's asking again. She's asking, what about back braces, over the shoulder ones? She says, please ask
Like
her.
postural braces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess for the
Okay.
Kyphosis.
kyphosis. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know Sophia's age or anything like that.
Oh,
So
she's
that's going to really.
over 50. She's saying as aging.
Okay. Right. So, I don't per se like, so I don't specifically in my practice recommend a particular brand of like a postural support like that. But what I do is I can like I do tape the shoulders back, which does mimic like what a postural brace is doing. So in my practice, I do little bits like that. Honestly, if it feels good and you're getting relief from it, I would say to continue doing it, but it's not something you should rely on. So you should make sure that you are doing the foam rolling after, that you are like opening up through your chest, and doing stretches that way, and the extensions through your upper back. So, I find that majority of people, let's say that have like a brace to support their low back, they're not going to do planks and they're not going to do the exercises outside of that. They're just going to rely on the brace. So as long as you're not relying on the brace, you're actually putting in the work outside of that. I'd say it's fine.
Right, because you're not strengthening or improving areas that need it with a brace. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, you're just forcing it into that position, and it's a reminder. So yeah, like if you have the brace, so when I tape shoulders back, I KT tape the shoulders back. So obviously when that happens, it's stretching through here, and then you're contracting between your shoulder blades. So you're working on that like endurance of the postural muscles back there throughout the day. But if you're just wearing the brace or have your shoulders taped back and not using those cues, then again, like that's not a good thing, right? So it's just about not relying on that.
Yeah, you got to put in the daily work. A lot of people don't want to hear that, I don't think.
No, there's no shortcuts.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are no shortcuts. I've tried. There's no shortcuts.
And KT tape, for those that are listening that don't know, that's a really sticky tape that, like the outside, it's even stickier than athletic tape, and it's like firmer. How would you describe it, Amanda?
It stretches.
It stretches.
It's like stretchy tape, basically. So when we put it on, you still have range of motion. You can work out with it. You can play sports. You can shower. It stays on. But yeah, it's just like basically you're using the tape to either activate or inhibit a muscle. So if a muscle's weak, you'll tape it a certain way to activate it. And if a muscle is tight, then we want to inhibit it, basically.
Mm-hmm. We're just shifting. We got you on a small screen for some reason. I don't know. We haven't done one of these in
Don't worry, we'll fix it.
Yeah, Talon's the tech guy. He got it under control here.
Well,
top corner.
I wouldn't put too much pressure on me there.
Why did it go really small?
I don't know, but we're small now. Exit full screen.
Oh,
gallery.
it says your bandwidth is low.
Bandwidth?
Amanda's bandwidth is low.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. I can crop it afterwards. We're good.
Okay, we'll crop it afterwards. We'll make it bigger.
Sorry for the live people, but just get closer to the screen. You'll be all right.
Get more intimate. Awesome. Yeah, and going on your virtual lessons that you have, I think it's really cool because a lot of people don't realize like how much care that you actually want and how much value you want to give to people. Like you have a whole bunch of videos. Like your whole Instagram page is basically videos of you trying to help people, whether you're seeing them or you're not seeing them, and you're trying to give them at-home activities to do for specific things. So it's really cool. So your Instagram is also Performance Care Center, the handle, and that's where you post most of your stuff, right?
Yes, I use that as a database. And it also, like, yeah, it's my goal to help like my patients and, maybe potential future patients. And it's not in replacement of medical advice. I have that like basically on each video, like, you know, people should come in for a proper assessment, and it's not to replace or diagnose anybody without seeing them in person, but you know, they're generally like really helpful tips. And yeah, it's just my goal to have a database for people that they can go to and they feel comfortable, so that they really don't have any excuse at all not to do their exercises, because they have full access to it. And it also helps me out too, so that when patients come in to practice, I can spend as much hands-on treatment as I can, and then I don't have to spend the time referring back to the videos because they're all there.
Right. Excuse me. I remember seeing the ones from when you just started, before you had your own clinic, like when you were still at like the other places you were at, and like they were so helpful. They were so helpful to me, even with opening up the hips and other things, because also people don't realize, like if you're driving a lot, which a lot of people probably aren't right now, but you're still sitting in this position. So it's not just your back that suffers, it's also your hips and lower body. So is there something that...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is there something really quick that you can say for those desk dwellers that I like to call ourselves that we can do?
Yeah, so it's the same as the upper body. So if anything ever becomes like, you know, too complicated or you don't know what to do, basically in the simplest form, if you sit at a desk or drive a lot, commute, if you're sitting for a good portion of the day, you should stretch through the front and through the front of your hips, and then strengthen your back and then your glutes, basically your buttocks. So stretch the front of the body, strengthen the back of the body. So for people that sit, they get a lot of low back pain because their hips are in the shortened position all day, and then they go get up and walk or try and run for that matter in hip extension, and they've been sitting in hip flexion all day and they wonder why they get low back pain. Well, you know, like you have to balance out the body and do more stretches in hip extension. So that's just with your leg behind you. So any stretch, whether it's like a warrior pose for yoga, just put your leg behind you if you sit at a desk all day, and basically stretch in that position.
Right. Okay, so let's go super basic. What is the difference between a chiropractor and like a physiotherapist? Because a physiotherapist would also help you with some of these things, right?
Sorry, I just opened that. Yeah, so I would say that's a really good question. I get that question all the time. In fact, a lot of my patients say, oh, you practice more like a physio. But like what I always say is it depends on the practitioner and what their background is in and what modalities that they use. So, I mean, both chiropractors and physios treat the musculoskeletal system, so muscles, joints, nerves, so any condition pertaining to that. There are some like older school chiropractors that just primarily treat with the spine. So yeah, like it's obviously important if you have an extremity issue that you want to go to a chiropractor that is well versed in extremities, and you can sort of, you know, identify that from like a website or the name of the clinic and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely depends on that, but we do treat all conditions. It just depends on that practitioner's qualifications basically, and their extracurriculars and things like that.
Because when most people think about chiropractor, I'm sure most people are just thinking about like the back cracking, like somebody's like neck just going or their back going like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not thinking about the acupuncture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and there's a little bit of like hands-on technique with like somewhat of a massage type stuff, right? Like, you know better. I'm just
yeah, definitely.
Man, I got a question for you. We've been seeing this thing on TikTok and a couple other places, but a lot on TikTok. We're on TikTok all the time. But there's this thing we keep seeing where they hook this like,
so they're lying on a table.
Yeah, they're patients lying on a table, and then they hook this like strap up. It's like a strap and they handle to the neck, and then they just yank on these people, and it looks like the best thing ever, and at the same time it's like the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, even when I adjust the spine with my hands, I don't ever pull like this way per se. And I don't particularly recommend that my patients go purchase one of those either.
No.
No.
Oh my God.
Would rather just like some stretches and then let a practitioner actually adjust and take your neck through its proper range of motion and not force it to go anywhere that it's not supposed to go.
Yeah, like that looks like you could do some damage for sure.
Yeah. I've had quite a few questions about them and I don't particularly recommend them.
So what do you do for like, the reason it looks good to me is because my neck always feels so compressed all the time. It's like, that's why that looks so good. It just feels so compressed. And like, it's weird if I have a glass of wine or if I have even a sip of beer, like I can't do alcohol anymore. For some reason that drives it nuts. And then that compression feels worse and it feels like it's just, and my whole neck muscles get sore and then I get a headache right after that. A couple of sips of anything. So yeah, that's why I'm like, oh, I kind of want to stretch it out. But yeah, what do you do for the neck stuff like that?
Yeah. So basically, so I do a lot of acupuncture for headaches. So acupuncture promotes blood flow. So a lot of the time, like in these suboccipital muscles there, those are the headache producing muscles. So when muscles are tight, it's like they're starving for oxygen. So when we do acupuncture, it's the most direct way that we can get blood flow to an area. So a lot of the time that's really helpful for headaches.
Right.
And then I use my hands to do soft tissue, like active release therapy to release all the muscles in the neck. And then I do cupping, I do a couple other things. But yeah, like it's also about fixing the posture. So for example, if you're, you guys are sitting, right? And then if you're in this position, your neck is going to go forward with it, right? So something like stretching your shoulder will indirectly affect your neck and if you get into better posture, then your neck is going to follow back with it, right? So, I mean, you could stretch your neck and get your neck treated as much as you want, but the issue might be in your shoulder or your chest, your whole shoulder girdle, basically. So it is kind of like about looking big picture.
Right.
Like I fixed a lot of headaches by working on shoulders and opening up the shoulders.
No way. Wow.
So maybe that's your, maybe we need to take a drive up to Ancaster when we're allowed to.
Yeah. We have some time for sure.
And so what about the people that are scared?
And then also,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I was just going to touch on, like that apparatus that, we're using to adjust, like that's just, a second of attraction, right? But it'd be more beneficial to actually like release everything in that area because it's going to go back to the way it was, right? Like it's going to compress down again, right? So it's about fixing the reason why it's getting compressed.
Right. So a lot
of the time it's postural.
So as you do movements over time, what do you mix? Like when someone comes to see you and you do the adjustments, you got to mix that with some sort of like strength training or something to get those muscles to hold the stuff in place. Like, how does that work?
Yep. Yeah. So basically when people come in, I'll always assess them. And then we'll treat. So I'll do some muscle work. We'll do some acupuncture. We'll do some more muscle release. I might adjust them. And then we talk about exercises. So that's obviously tailored specifically to that individual. And then I also reassess after every single treatment. So like you're going to leave the office having experienced some sort of change right away. But yeah, like definitely the rehab is tailored to that patient. So it's hard for me to like specifically say.
When your patients don't do it, like you can probably tell right away when your patients aren't doing the rehab, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. So, I mean, their pain will, their pain won't decrease as fast. I can feel in their range of motion. Like I can feel when somebody does their exercises or not. So basically like they'll leave, I'll have, let's say like their shoulder joint functioning really well. And then they come back and it feels like the way that they came in originally. So it's a use it or lose it type scenario, right? So, yeah. can't hide from you, basically.
I will know. And especially if they're coming back after 2 weeks, like 2 weeks is a long time. Like usually when you have an acute injury, you want to be seeing the person. What would be your recommendation? Like at least once a week when you have an acute injury, right? Like maybe twice or 3 times a week, depending on what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when it's acute, it can be up to 2 times a week. I definitely don't over-treat because I like to put some responsibility in my patient's hands for them to give them time to do their homework and whatnot. I think if you treat like too often, then it becomes passive treatment and they basically don't do the work. So I never see a patient more than twice a week, for sure. But yeah, so, and then I'll usually see it like once a week. And then how I kind of like to do my treatment plans is after a patient doesn't have pain for a week, then we push them 2 weeks, then every 3 weeks. And I like to do like a once a month type thing for what I call performance treatment. And what that is basically just individualizing the treatment. So getting them out of the positions that they're in every day, whatever sport they're playing. If they need more range of motion, like if they're an overhead athlete, then we're getting them that. So it's very customized.
Hence the name, performance.
Hence the name,
care
exactly.
Center. Yeah, like that's, and I don't even remember exactly. So I saw Amanda when I was working at the gym, and I don't know what happened. It was like definitely an acute injury, and it just so random. And it was on my hand. I remember it was something to do with my hand. Do you remember what it was exactly? Because I don't remember. But I hate needles. And I like Amanda,
oh yeah, you told me that, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we're still gonna do them, but yeah.
Like I don't like acupuncture, and the chiropractic people in the clinic there know, like it's funny, like I'm such a baby when it comes to it. Like I would hold my shirt like this, like just like scrunch it when the needles were going in, especially if it was around my knee, like immediate perspiration on my knee. Like it was just a sympathetic, like parasympathetic response. It's like sweat, like you've injured your knee before, sweat is happening because now you're in like a state of like, oh no, like something's happening. And so like you just did such a good job of like talking me through it. And I just remember like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening right now. This is so weird. So for those people that are scared of acupuncture, I think it's really important for them to know, like you almost don't feel it. And then it just goes away. Like it's better not to look, I think, also when you're getting it done. Cause
yeah, I mean, you definitely have to. So with my patients, we always talk about it. And a lot of the time when they get referred to me, they know that is one of my specialties that I use. Like I honestly use it on 99% of my patients, even like really young patients. And yeah, like it's just about making them feel comfortable and letting them know that, they're the boss at the end of the day. So if somebody's really uncomfortable with it, but they decide they want to get better, so then they put it in my hand. So, we'll just start with one acupuncture needle and I say, hey, if you don't like it, I'll take it out immediately. So just them knowing that, like they are in control. I'm not the boss, like they're the boss, it's their body, right? So them just knowing that, like really eases them. And I really can't say that I've only ever done one needle in someone and they couldn't handle anymore. Like usually people are just fine. But you should know about sweating with acupuncture. That actually is a sign of an intact neurological system. So a lot of the athletes that I treat, they are the ones, not necessarily that they are nervous with acupuncture, but that tennis player, a few of them that I've treated, like they would have pools, their palms would be pools of sweat, and they would have acupuncture every day and it would still happen because they're athletic and it's a sign of a good neurological system. So wow. There you go.
See,
that's crazy.
I should have been an athlete.
You got an athlete on your hands.
I've always noticed that. I've always noticed that her body works way better than mine. It like with stuff like that. It does what it's supposed to do. Mine doesn't. Like what's an example? Because people are gonna be thinking like I'm weird now. How do you improve that? How do I sweat better?
You guys can figure that out on your own time.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, it's like one of those responses that happen. Like even, I don't know, like I also fall asleep really quickly where he stays up for an hour and he'll be tossing and turning.
That's the other thing. She just drops dead when we go to sleep. She's out.
Like not even 2 minutes. I'll just fall asleep. And same with like these like little responses. They'll just happen. And so his body's just it takes so long to respond to things. I was the athlete. Like, you're good at sports and stuff. Like, I'll give it to you, but I was supposed to be the athlete. See, that's what that means. Amanda just confirmed it.
I confirmed it.
Dr. Amanda.
I'm always getting ganged up on this show.
So among acupuncture, like you talked about cupping. So is that something that you also do a lot of?
Yeah, I do. I kind of just use it as a finishing touch. I'll do it a lot in the traps or in the calves. And so I basically just work around my patient and then also the condition that I have in front of me. So, there are certain conditions where I find cupping works really well. And then there's certain conditions where I find a fascial abrasion tool will work really well. It's kind of like a tool you scrape the fascia with. So, and then it also depends on and then it also depends on how old the patient is. So when they're younger, they respond better to some modalities. So yeah, it's really about like getting to know the condition and the patient that you have in front of you. And I just try and have as many tools as I can, and then I can make my decision basically that day. And it's important to change treatment. So for anyone out there who like is experiencing treatment and maybe you've hit a plateau and you're not getting better as fast as you'd like to, like if you're getting the exact same treatment by your practitioner every time you go in, it's likely a sign to, change it up, right? Because, as you get range of motion in some areas, treatment should be adjusted accordingly. Honestly, kind of like a diet. Like, even though you eat healthy, if you eat the same thing every day, like you're going to plateau eventually. You're going to have to switch up your diet and kind of shock your system, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, same with training.
Important. Training. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah. So you got to keep it moving to keep changing, which is great. And so for those of the people that don't know what cupping is, why don't you explain cupping really quickly so that people know?
Yeah, so cupping is an ancient technique. So there's two different ways you can use it. There's actually a few different ways. You can place there's plastic cups, there's glass cups. Some cups you can light on fire. I don't particularly do that type of cupping. I actually move the cup around over top of the muscle, and it's just to promote blood flow at the end of the day. So, yeah, go ahead.
Because that's when like the cup is like on the skin and it's like suctioning up like the tissue and stuff. So when you're moving it, it's like kind of like dragging it up in a way, right?
Yeah, it pulls the skin. Yeah. So you basically have your skin layer, your adipose layer, so your fat layer, your fascia, your muscle. So it kind of like pulls like the superficial layers away so that like things can slide better.
Awesome. And then I know some people are listening and they're kind of like, chiropractors, like even some of my friends don't think chiropractors work. They don't like chiropractors. They put like a whole, like it's like a whole thing.
What's the percentage of people that think like that, right? Everyone's like, it seems like it's like 50% people are like, oh, that's just, they have some like conspiracy theory about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I knew before I got into this profession that it was not like the easy route. I knew that I would have a lot of people who had that exact question. So I'm definitely like really well versed in this area. Actually, when you asked me that question earlier, if I have ever gotten into like an awkward situation, one is coming to mind on this topic, actually. So this was like maybe 2 years into my practice, and one of the practitioner's family members was referred to me. So I had never met this individual before, but again, like it was a family member of one of my team members. So I usually start with, I'm a chiropractor, but I guess in that one situation, I didn't. And then halfway through treatment, they proceeded to say, oh, I feel so much better, this and that. And I said, oh, like, have you ever seen a chiropractor before? Me. And maybe I forgot. I didn't say the me. Have you ever seen a chiropractor? And he said, oh no, I would never see one of those people. And I'm halfway through the treatment and they had already just finished telling me how good they feel. And I said, so I just let this patient just keep going, like as much and talk as much as they could. And he dug a pretty deep hole for himself that he couldn't get out of after. And then I told him I was a chiropractor, and his face, like he almost fainted. Like it was pretty funny to see. But at the end of the day, like as long as I made him feel better, and he walked out of there and he even apologized. And he said, I have a new appreciation for chiropractors now. Like he thanked me a million times. He came back. So at the end of the day, like I never take offense to people who have those comments. In fact, I just take it as a challenge, and I want to see those patients even more to show them like what I can do, and what I can do even after one treatment. Cool. So I love when I get that challenge, honestly. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, like there's bad apples in every bunch. So everybody has a story about the worst teacher they had, or the worst doctor they had, or the worst chiropractor they had, and they make it seem like everybody is in that basket, but that's not true. It's everybody's an individual person. You'll always have people that are better at maybe soccer rather than hockey and whatnot. So you just kind of have to find who works best for you. So it's a little bit of a, it takes a little bit of time, but once you know, like, you know. So I'm glad you clarified that, because I don't think like the reputation of chiropractors is like necessarily always like the best, because somebody always has the bad story of like how they cracked their neck and it's never been the same. But not all chiropractors, like you said, would do all those techniques either. So it really depends.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely like it's some of those situations, it could be warranted that they were uncomfortable for sure. Like, you know, that's what I pride myself on. I always make my patients feel comfortable. I never try and push a treatment on someone that they're not comfortable with. So if somebody doesn't want an adjustment, that is totally fine. Like I said before, I have so many tools that I can reach to, and it's about the patient in front of me being a part of their treatment process, and together we figure out a treatment plan. It's not, you know, they come in here and I tell you what they have to do. It's very much like a good doctor-patient relationship like that. And then number one, it makes them trust me even more, and then they're part of their own healing process too. So it makes for a good interaction.
Hey, random question for you, totally off topic. Do you remember a girl that was in our kinesiology class named Molly? I think it's Molly OBrien.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just watched one of her YouTube videos, and what you're saying is reminding me of her, because she's now practicing and training like high level athletes. But what she realized is, as the years went on, athletes were asking her questions that it wasn't like a box, like a shoebox approach to everything. Like it worked for teams, like generally for 80%. But when they were asking her one-on-one, she started realizing, hey, there's not just one tool to fix this problem. Like, here's my toolbox. And like you're saying, like, here's my tools, like, which one do you think will work for you? And then we can always switch it up or change it up to make sure that you're feeling good as it's going. So that's also another sign of like you're the vast amount of knowledge that you have in this practice already, because a lot of people are always going to go to their acupuncture, or they're going to go through just like the adjustments. So it's, I don't know, I think it's really cool. Like I'm like super happy and excited for you and proud of you, because this takes like a lot of mental strength, and like you care so much about your patients. Like I'm pretty sure you're reading up on things when you're at home if you don't know the answer when they're in front of you. You know what I mean? Like not a lot of people will take the time to continue learning after they've gotten their degree and they're already practicing. Like they'll just stick with what they know and what they're comfortable with, as opposed to putting themselves outside of the box, which I think
just go through the motions.
Yeah, they'll just go through the motions, whereas you will like climb for that answer, and you'll find it and you'll figure it out, which is really good. So
yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah,
a good doctor, not a good doctor.
Well, I know, but like I just want to make it obvious here. Like I don't know if people understand how awesome she is. So yeah, like
thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. I really didn't want to get treated with acupuncture, and I didn't have to go back because Amanda fixed me in like one session. So like that's all it really took, which is surprising because I have plenty of problems. So that's awesome. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would like to talk about? Maybe some misconceptions that people have, or anything that I might have forgotten to ask?
No, like I'm definitely glad you asked the question about the stigma behind chiropractors. It's definitely getting a lot better. But yeah, I mean, by me like doing my research and having all those tools, I think that that's kind of like what separates when somebody asks me like, you know, like, how are you different as a practitioner? Like that's one of the main things that separates me from like other chiropractors, right? So yeah, I thought that was a really good thing that we touched on. Oh boy, I'm losing battery. That's bad.
We are almost done. We are like wrapping it up here. I just wanted to thank you for coming on and taking the time. I know that you probably are going to have more people coming to Ancaster now. And if you guys don't know, like Talon, the techie guy, will post some pictures of her clinic because they are absolutely gorgeous. So when she says she tries and make you feel like welcome and you're part of the practice and you're part of she has scone Saturdays. Like who doesn't want to have a coffee and scone on a Saturday?
Get out.
Yeah. She has a whole nice like little mini bar set up in her waiting area. It's just gorgeous and beautiful.
Nice.
So how could you not feel like, you know, relaxed going into your session? And a ton of amazing videos that people should check out on your Instagram page and your website. So we'll make sure we link that all up into this when we post it and repost it and post it up on YouTube. And for anybody that has questions, I'll ask them to put it in the bottom and maybe Amanda can answer them. Dr. Amanda will answer them afterwards. Thank you.
All good.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know that a lot of the videos that you have are going to help people at home right now that are stuck at home, working from home, probably from their dining room table and not even an ergonomically centered chair or table or anything like that. So really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm happy to. And thank you guys so much. It was so nice catching up with you. And I love what you guys are doing also. I know we didn't get to talk about you guys, but I do admire the two of you and how well you guys work together and everything. I think that's so awesome.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We sometimes work well together. It's a learning process. Steve, one of the other guys on the show, on the podcast, told us that we shouldn't have any expectations. So I'm really trying to plant that into your head here. Have no expectations of your significant
no expectations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But either way, guys, check out Dr. Amanda's training videos, her tips. They're really super awesome. They're helping myself and a lot of other people. Get yourselves a foam roller, a lacrosse ball, all the good stuff. And you before you end up seeing Amanda in a month or even hopefully sooner when we're all
sooner.
open.
It's got to be sooner. It has to.
I'm hoping. So thank you so much again. And hopefully we'll be able to have you on and get to visit your clinic in person. I know Talon's already wanting to come. I know he has his back and neck pain. So are we going to do our outro here?
We can if you'd like.
Yeah, like it's all about the music, right? It's all about the vibe.
Definitely.
Do your outro.
Outro. I forgot what our outro is.
Yeah,
well,
whatever.
Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Amanda, again for being on. Hopefully you guys are all safe at home and we'll catch you next time.